Are you ready to uncover the unknown? Montana, a territory where nature seems endless, is home to some of the most majestic and dangerous forests in America. One of them, Helena National Forest, stretches across more than 970,000 acres of mountains, hidden rivers, and dense woodlands. Founded in 1897, this vast wilderness not only shelters breathtaking beauty, it also hides secrets that have withstood the passage of time. On our channel, we have already walked the paths of many mysteries: children who vanish without a trace, expert hikers who disappear in broad daylight. Yet the deeper we dig into these cases, the more enigmas emerge from among the trees. And the most unsettling part is, these disappearances are still happening today. Today we dive into one of the most chilling and disturbing cases: the disappearance of Nyleen Marshall. It was June 25, 1983. The sun shone brightly over the small clearing of Elkhorn Park near Clancy, Montana, where several families had gathered for a community picnic. The sound of children laughing blended with the soft murmur of Maupin Creek, a perfect setting for a summer day in nature. Nyleen K. Marshall, a girl just 4 years old, was playing along the creek with other children, jumping from stone to stone, exploring near the beaver dams. At one moment, she simply stepped a few feet ahead. When the other children looked back, she was gone. What followed was one of the most intense searches ever recorded in the area. Abandoned mine shafts were inspected. Ponds and rivers were drained. Helicopters, search dogs, hundreds of volunteers. The entire weight of the community descended upon the forest, but there was no sign of Nyleen. No clothing, no footprints, nothing. As if the forest had swallowed her with a whisper. Some witnesses claimed to have seen a man in athletic clothing, possibly speaking with her. Was he just a hiker, or someone with darker intentions? The case seemed to grow cold, until 2 years later, in 1985, an anonymous man called Child Find of America. He claimed to have picked up a girl named Kay in Montana and was now raising her as his daughter. Later in 1986, a typewritten letter arrived at Child Find's office containing chillingly accurate details about the disappearance, information that had never been made public. In the letter, the author described a nomadic life, traveling with the girl across the United States, Canada, and even the United Kingdom. He claimed he homeschooled her, provided everything she needed, but also hinted at having committed terrible abuses. The letter was traced to a phone booth in Wisconsin, but the sender was never identified. Was he truly the abductor, or a cruel trickster playing with the family's pain? To this day, no answers have been found. What really happened? Over the years, several theories have been proposed to explain Nyleen's disappearance. Planned abduction. Many believe someone had been watching her for a while and seized a moment of distraction. The man in athletic clothes was never identified nor ruled out. Natural accident. Another possibility is that Nyleen fell into an abandoned mine shaft or a natural crevice, places nearly impossible to find with the naked eye. Human trafficking. Some investigators and theorists suggest she may have fallen victim to a child trafficking network, a theory strengthened by the letters and calls received. Unexplained phenomena. For those who study the missing 411 phenomenon, there are those who believe she may have been trapped by something even more mysterious. Something that defies logical explanation. What happened to the young woman who claimed to be Nyleen? In 1997, a spark of hope appeared. A nurse in New Orleans reported having treated a young woman around 19 years old, accompanied by an older man. In an altered emotional state, the young woman said her name was Helena and that she believed her biological mother's name was Nyleen. However, before any follow-up could be done, both the young woman and the man disappeared from the hospital without a trace. Investigators tried everything, checking missing persons reports, fingerprint databases, medical records, but the girl was never found again. Was she truly Nyleen, or was she another soul lost in her own tragedy? The immense and enigmatic Helena National Forest, where secrets seem buried as deep as the roots of its ancient trees. Even after all these decades, the mystery of Nyleen Marshall still echoes like a sad whisper among Montana's pines. No definitive proof, no closure, only an open wound that time has not been able to heal. What do you believe really happened on that sunny afternoon in June of 1983? Was Nyleen abducted and raised under another name? Did she vanish forever into the vastness of the wilderness? Or could there be forces in these places that we still do not fully understand? Share your thoughts in the comments, because in the world of mystery, every detail, every suspicion could be the missing key. Echo in the Snow: The Disappearance of Derrick Engebretson. After exploring the mysteries hidden in Montana's forests, our journey now takes us northwest into one of the most vast and cold territories of Oregon. There, embraced by the whispering wind and covered by endless layers of snow, lies the immense Winema National Forest. With over 1 million acres of mountains, frozen rivers, and dense pine forests, this land, located in Klamath County, feels like a place frozen in time. Yet beneath its apparent serenity, it harbors stories that chill the soul. Winema National Forest is known not only for its untamed beauty, but also for its hidden dangers. Disappearances, accidents, and even unexplained phenomena have occurred within its vast territories. What secrets are concealed within its mist and eternal cold? It is in this winter landscape that one of the most unsettling cases tied to this forest unfolded: the disappearance of Derrick Engebretson. It was December 5th, 1998. A local Christmas tradition led many families to venture into the forest to find the perfect Christmas tree. Derrick, a boy of just 8 years old, was accompanying his father and grandfather on this simple mission in an area near Highway 140, close to Pelican Lake. Derrick, affectionately nicknamed Bear Boy for his love of nature, was dressed in a blue snowsuit, lined boots, and carried a small hatchet. As they walked, Derrick asked his grandfather for permission to move ahead and catch up with his father. Trusting Derrick's familiarity with the woods, his grandfather agreed. However, when father and son reunited later, Derrick was with neither of them. Confusion quickly turned into panic. The family flagged down a passing motorist who made a call to 911 from a nearby resort. That night, a snowstorm swept over the area, severely complicating the search efforts. Despite the adverse conditions, a massive operation was launched, involving helicopters, search dogs, and hundreds of volunteers. Small footprints were found in the snow that seemed to belong to Derrick, but they ended abruptly near a snow angel and had been erased by a snowplow. A makeshift shelter made of fir branches was also discovered, but the dogs did not pick up Derrick's scent there. The official search was suspended on December 13, 8 days after his disappearance, due to extreme weather conditions. However, Derrick's family continued searching on their own, camping out in the area for weeks. The case of Derrick has sparked multiple theories over the years, but none have fully unraveled this mystery. Each hypothesis, rather than solving the case, only raises more questions. Natural accident. One of the first assumptions was that Derrick, after separating from his family, might have become disoriented in the dense and white landscape of the forest. The theory holds that he sought shelter from the oncoming storm, eventually succumbing to hypothermia within hours. But if that was the case, why were no remains ever found? Shouldn't there have been more evidence than just faint tracks? A piece of clothing, his small hatchet, some sign of where he fell? Even after weeks of searching and years of subsequent investigations, nothing. Could the forest have swallowed up all trace of him? Or is something more sinister at play? Possible abduction. Another, even more chilling theory suggests that Derrick may have been abducted. Several witnesses reported seeing an adult man with a young boy in the area that very day. A suspicious vehicle, described as a black Honda, was also reported, with its occupants asking strange questions to nearby hikers. Was it just a coincidence, or was someone out there hunting for an opportunity? And what if Derrick had been watched from the very beginning, stalked until the perfect moment to vanish without a trace? The most unsettling question about this theory: how long had that person been lurking in the forest, waiting? And why was a stranger wandering such a remote area that day? The confession of a convict in the year 2008, the case took an even darker turn. Frank James Milligan, a known convicted child molester, confessed in prison to having killed a boy matching Derrick's description. At first, his confession seemed to open a hopeful path toward the truth. But then, Milligan recanted. Authorities, despite his horrific criminal record, were never able to corroborate his story. There was no physical evidence, no confirmed connection to Derrick. Was it a false confession for notoriety? Or, as sometimes happens, did guilt and fear cause him to retract a confession that was all too real? If it wasn't Milligan, then who was it? The mysterious graffiti, less known but equally disturbing, in 1999, graffiti was discovered in the bathroom of a public rest stop near the area where Derrick disappeared. The message referenced Derrick Engebretson directly. Although authorities dismissed it as a cruel hoax, the exact content of the graffiti has never been publicly revealed. And what if it wasn't a joke? What if it was a coded message or a hidden confession from someone who knew too much? Why wasn't that lead investigated more deeply? Accident or a predatory hunt? The brutal force of winter could explain a disappearance, but the interrupted footprints, the makeshift shelter, the sightings of strange individuals, all of it suggests a far more twisted script. If Derrick had simply gotten lost, why are there so many loose ends? And what if he wasn't a victim of nature, but of someone who knew the hidden paths of the forest all too well? More than 2 decades later, Derrick's whereabouts remain a mystery. His family has never given up hope, continuing to search for answers, hoping one day to uncover the truth. How can a child vanish in broad daylight, leaving behind only a trail that fades like a sigh in the snow? Was he a victim of the elements, of a lurking stranger, or of something even more inexplicable? Share your theory in the comments, because in these forgotten territories, every mystery, every echo in the snow, could be the whisper of a truth we have yet to uncover. After immersing ourselves in the relentless snow of Oregon, where Derrick Engebretson vanished among the whispers of the forest, our journey now takes us further south, into a completely different but equally deadly landscape. We leave behind the snowy forest to enter the arid and enigmatic desert of Arizona, where another mystery awaits. In this setting of ancient rock formations, centuries-old cacti, and canyons carved by time, lies a story that more than 4 decades later remains unanswered: the disappearance of Paul Fugate. Located in southeastern Arizona, Chiricahua National Monument stretches across more than 12,000 acres of surreal volcanic landscape, with stone towers rising like sentinels from another era. Known as the Wonderland of Rocks, this park, once part of the ancestral Apache territories, holds a hypnotic beauty, and also mysteries seemingly carved into its very stones. It was January 13, 1980. Paul Fugate, an experienced 41-year-old park ranger, was on duty at the Fairway Ranch Visitor Center inside Chiricahua National Monument. That day, he was instructed to patrol a nearby trail. He walked out, wearing his full uniform, his official badge clearly visible on his chest, and was never seen again. When Paul didn't return at the end of his shift, alarms began to sound. First it was his colleagues. Then the alert grew to involve local authorities, the FBI, and specialized search and rescue units. All trails were combed, caves, cliffs, and ravines were inspected. Helicopters flew over the vast expanse of the park, while ground teams explored every corner. And yet, absolutely nothing was found. No fallen hat, no forgotten radio, not a single footprint in the desert dust. The initial search lasted weeks, but soon hope began to fade in the arid air currents. Over time, several theories emerged about the fate of Paul Fugate. One possibility was that Paul had suffered an accident in the most remote and treacherous areas of the park. Perhaps he fell into a hidden ravine or became trapped in an inaccessible rock formation. But if that were true, why wasn't his body or belongings found, despite the intense search efforts? Did the desert swallow his tracks, as if he had never walked there at all? Another, darker theory suggests that Paul may have been the victim of a crime. Some local rumors claimed he was investigating illegal activities within the park: drug trafficking, looting of archaeological sites, or even internal corruption. Could someone have silenced him forever? An unexpected encounter with the wrong people, hidden forever among the ancient rocks of Chiricahua? Curiously, official park records from those years were described as incomplete or tampered with. Coincidence or cover-up? There is also the theory that Paul decided to disappear voluntarily. Some speculate that he may have been under personal pressure or facing internal struggles. But those who knew him, his colleagues and family, always described him as someone passionate about his work and deeply committed to his mission of protecting the park. Would a man so dedicated truly abandon everything without a trace? And for those who study patterns of disappearances in remote locations, the case of Paul Fugate does not go unnoticed. Like many cases in the missing 411 phenomenon, the disappearance occurred in a wild area, under puzzling circumstances, with no evidence, no witnesses, and leaving behind only a thunderous silence. Could he have discovered something he wasn't meant to see? Or perhaps there is something in these ancient territories that lies beyond our understanding. Chiricahua National Monument is a land steeped in history, ancestral home of the Chiricahua Apache, who viewed these lands as both sanctuary and spiritual battleground. Even before Paul's disappearance, the place was already considered by many to be sacred or cursed. Sightings of strange lights, feelings of being watched, and unexplained disappearances of animals and people have been reported over the years. Could it be that this ancient place still harbors secrets that defy our rational explanations? Thus, we close this journey through snowy forests, hidden trails, and ancestral deserts. From the vanished Derrick Engebretson, a boy lost in the snow, to Nyleen Marshall, a little girl whose trail faded among the trees of Montana, and finally Paul Fugate, a ranger who dissolved into the silent rocks of Chiricahua. Each story, though different in landscape and time, shares a common haunting rhythm. Places where the impossible seems to happen, where nature itself appears to collaborate with the darkest mysteries. What forces operate in these remote places? Is it simply the vastness of the terrain, or is there something more? Something we do not fully understand. The more we investigate, the more questions arise. And though the years pass, these names, these echoes of impossible disappearances, continue to resonate in the valleys, mountains, and forgotten deserts. Perhaps some answers will never come, or perhaps we are simply not ready to find them yet. See you in the next mystery, lovers of the unknown.